says that thing because it is very sweet to say. And in that story, we can really see what it means to be moved by what is seen, and then what it means to have your spirit confirm something. This is to say that God works with everyone according to their faith. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Fortune Love series. In this channel, I share helpful tips to help men grow in their faith and in their career. If you're a new subscriber, hi, welcome on board. And if you're an old subscriber, I'm giving you my love and kisses. Thank you for supporting me. In this video, we'll be talking about how to apply faith and make it work for us. Let's get started. I know that the first thing that we hear about faith is that it is impossible to please God without faith, or we hear that faith is believing what we were not seeing and then bringing it into the physical. There's something I used to tell my people: the world is spiritual, and faith is bringing that spiritual reality that you have into the physical realm. And there is a lot of things that's actually going on spiritually that is not even yet manifested physically. And because we are children of God, we're supposed to know or be aware of these activities so that our mindset will not just be ruled by what we see. Bible says that we are not moved by what we see. What we declare is not just because it is seen, it's what we already know of, what we've heard of, what God has revealed to us. That is where faith comes in. Because when He reveals that thing to you, there is a confirmation within your spirit, and then you can profess that thing, you can say that thing, and you know that it is going to be done. Do you understand? When we talk about the heroes of faith that Hebrews spoke about, it was because these people confirmed this thing in their spirit, and then it was now manifested in the physical. People like Abraham did not just have faith because it was something sweet to say or sweet to do. Nobody wakes up one day and then just decides to heed an instruction that says that go and kill your only child. Nobody just goes to the place that you don't know anybody and you come back and give reports to the person that sent you that, oh, we are well able to take this land. That was the testimony of Caleb and Joshua. Nobody just says that thing because it is very sweet to say. And in that story, we can really see what it means to be moved by what is seen, and then what it means to have your spirit confirm something. Caleb and Joshua were with the 12 spies that were sent to go and spy the land that God had already given them, Canaan land. And then when they came back, they said that we were like grasshoppers before the giant. Have you ever tried to imagine what a grasshopper looks like beside a giant? That means that there's not even need to fight. Just a small movement, even movement of the hand or movement of the leg or movement of the feet, it can just kill the grasshopper. Imagine somebody saying that kind of thing. It just shows you how the world is, because they've been with God for so long, they've seen miracles. It was for their eyes that the Red Sea was parted. Pharaoh and his chariots were killed in the Red Sea, but this still did not move them. This is just to tell you that the 12 of us can be in this world together. The 12 of us can call ourselves Christians. The 12 of us can assume to have a walk with God. But where is our faith with God? Do we believe God even in the riskiest of the riskiest situations, and will still confirm that I know my God, it will come true for me? Do you understand? Some people cannot confidently say this because in their head or in their mind, they are looking for alternatives. Do you know that I was trying to get more context about the story of faith, and there was something that stood out to me. These people that God was so delighted in them, really loved them. The Bible already says that without faith, it is impossible to please God. And there was something that stood out to me in all their stories. They were not necessarily perfect human beings. Do you know what? They trusted God with everything. If God says go, they don't even know if there is going to be food. They're not even sure if they're going to be killed on the way or something. They're not bothered about it. They really trusted God. And it was so obvious in the way they obeyed His instructions. See, let me tell you something about faith. When you say something like, oh, but I have faith in this thing and I'm not seeing the result of it, the way you are obeying the instructions that God gives you also determines the way God is actually going to answer your prayers. Do you understand? If God says go, and then what you're thinking of, if I go, what is going to happen? Let me think of the food we are going to eat, or let me think of we're going to need tents. Let me think of tents. Let me think of this. Let me think of that. And those are not part of the instructions that God has given you. There is a way that it is going to make you look like it's going to make you look like you're looking for alternatives with God. Let me now bring you to this story in the New Testament. Jesus Christ had 70 disciples, and then he had another batch. But like I think in the first set, he told them, take take something along with you. And then in the next batch that I was going to send some disciples to go and spread this gospel, he said, as you are going, do not take anything. Just go. Those people, when they came back, they said, even the devil was subject to us when we begin to cast demons out in your name. They saw the results. The other people too, that when they also saw the result, this is to show you that at different times in your life, God will give you instructions, whether concerning the same journey or a different journey in your life. But how is the instruction that God has given to you? Does God want to tell you to trust Him with all that you have, with all your heart? Or He's telling you, do this and do this and do this, and I'm also going to respond to your needs? Because when we see the story of Abraham, when Abraham stopped looking for alternatives and decided to just go and say, okay, God has instructed me to do this and do this and do this, and he went there, he could have started to look for the ram before he took Isaac to the altar. But he had it at the back of his mind that, yes, I know that God is able, but I'm still going to take this child to the altar for God to know that I trust him. For Caleb and for Joshua, they knew. Like sometimes no people try to like defend it and say you are not just being logical. Do you want to tell me that Caleb and Joshua did not see the giants that the other people saw? They saw them. But sometimes you're refusing to confess what is already seen because you know that your God is able. So if you're still, staying there and saying that, but I'm not seeing the results, or I'm not seeing this thing that God has asked me to do, or I'm not seeing the answers to these prayers. What was the instruction that God gave to you? Did He say pray? Did He say wait on me? Did He say stop worrying? Did He say just be patient? What did He say to you? And sometimes it might be so difficult for you to just lean on only that instruction. That is why there is grace. It surpasses our human abilities in a way that we can actually please God with our life. Because sincerely, between you and I, we cannot do it on our own. Abraham had his faults. Noah had his faults. Caleb and Joshua, they had their faults. But did God look at that before He answered their prayers? No. So it's not your imperfections that is driving you away from God and not making your prayers to be answered. It's because you are still looking for alternatives when God is just telling you to go. Or you're still looking for alternatives in that instruction that God has given to you. Or you're still looking for other options that can serve as crutches in that instruction, or regarding the fact that God told you to obey. You are still looking for crutches, and these crutches might not even be anything too serious. It might just be your own mindset. You are not there yet to trust God fully with that instruction. So how can you now get to that point that you can now start seeing results as you begin to apply faith in every situation? Before I go into that, I want us to go deeply into these Bible characters and really like talk about their life so that we can also get wisdom and get understanding from the way they live their lives and the way they went about these things. The first story here is the story of Enoch. Bible says that and Enoch walked with God, for he was not, for God took him. And then it made me to really sit down. And I was like, how many people did this thing happen to that we actually don't know where they died? We don't know their burial ground because they walked with God. Is it that God has made a covenant that we don't know of, that the people that applied mysterious faith we cannot go to their graveyards? But this is just what I was just thinking of. When we talk about Elijah, Elijah did not die. It was a chariot of fire that took him. And we can see the way Elijah went. I can never forget this story. They brought the false prophets, prophet of Baal, to come and argue with him. And he said, okay, oh, pour water on the altar. Don't worry, pour it. And they started to pour. He said, okay, beat yourself, cut your skin now. Your God will answer. It must have been a very funny experience because he must have really known God to be able to test God, because it was actually a test. The firewood was wet, and he said pour water on it, and they were pouring and pouring and pouring. He said the water was even flowing from the altar. And he said, my God, like, and he prayed to God, and God sent down fire, and fire burned the water and the wood. Can you have that kind of faith? And then when we talk about Noah was building, because I was like, what happened? 120 years to build an ark. What happened? What exactly is going on? What? It just made me to be really puzzled. That was it that Noah had moments in throughout his lifetime, or throughout the time that he was building the ark, that he just felt like maybe he was doing too much. It's just an assumption, because it actually took him a lot of that's somebody's lifetime that he was using to build the ark. Do you get? So, but he built it for a long time. But at the end of the day, he still finished it, right? So this is to say that God works with everyone according to their faith. The reason that you're not getting answers is not because you are imperfect. It's because of your crutches. And you cannot say, oh, I don't really have faith. When we talk about the faith as a grain of mustard seed, for me, I've never been able to like picture it and apply it, because what do you mean as a grain of mustard seed? How do I know that my faith has gotten to the level of a mustard seed? How do I know that my faith has even surpassed the mustard seed? Do you understand? But at the end of the day, God actually works with everybody according to their faith. That's why the Bible says that the just shall live by faith, by his own faith. So the faith that you have is enough to show God that he can also do something with your life. But the reason why these answers are being delayed is because of the crutches. It's because of the mindset that you have. It's because you've started to find an alternative for God. You started to help God, so to say, with the answers, or by the means to get his answers. When the instructions that he has given you, do not accept these crutches. God will give you instructions according to the level of your faith. God will give you what instruction according to the level of your faith, because at the end of the day, he wants you to continue to build yourself in a way that your life will continue to please him. He knows that you can obey these instructions. That's why he's giving it to you. It's not like it is too big. Well, sometimes it can actually feel big, but he knows that you love him. And he's saying that if you can love me as this much, how about you trust me this much? Because let me tell you something. It's very, very easy for everybody to say that I love God, until God gives you an instruction and you realize that you actually don't trust him as much as you love him. So that's just what God wants from each and every one of us. I know I might be saying this thing, and then you might be looking like, oh, maybe my life is perfect, and then I walk in this dimension of, okay, I always trust God. I'm also working towards it, but if I'm working towards it, I also want you to be able to walk towards it. Do you understand? And help you in such a way that the way you will have faith in God is the same way you will love God. And it will not be like, oh, I can love God till death, but when it comes to instructions, I don't want to be in the fold. Don't be too scared of God's instructions, because I feel like it's even becoming a norm now. We're already in the end times, and then God is calling more people to ministry, or He's calling more people to speak His word, to preach the gospel, or to just be ministers in their workplace. And then people be like, oh, but this is already designated to so and so. And we're already in the end times, and God wants his word to spread around, and he needs you and I. And then you will say, I love God, I love God, I love God. But when it now comes to these instructions that is telling us to obey, we're like, please, let's put a hold on it, because you're not there yet. Can you walk with grace to be able to obey this commandment that he has given to you? Let's talk about faith and healing. God has the word for us to be healed. By his stripes you are healed. You can quote Isaiah 53 verse 3 to 5. You can quote it from your brain. But can you really see it at work? Can I tell you something? Before we started the year, I used to be sick like almost every month. Even if I deworm and I use malaria drug, sometimes I'm sick with malaria after 3 days, 3 weeks rather. Like I've just finished using malaria drug and I'm still using it again after 3 weeks. And it used to feel like I'm not even seeing the result of this treatment. Do you know what happened? There was a prayer that I made to God. I said, God, I know that I've already seen this thing as a norm. Like it just feels normal at a point that I don't even think that I'm supposed to be praying about it. But I told God in that prayer and I just left it there and I didn't think about it. Then the next month came and then I was like, I'm seeing some traces of like being sick and all of that, but I said I already told God this thing. I'm not supposed to still be battling it again. So I just erased this from my mind. And continuously like that, whenever there is any like sign, because the enemy knows that when you have faith, you are actually unstoppable. Just in case you don't know, you are actually unstoppable when you have faith because he knows that it is. I don't know how to explain it better in words, but I hope I find it in words. When you have faith, you know that Satan is bluffing. You know, so it's not even something that you know come and be bargaining with Satan and be saying that, hey, oh, he should leave you. You just know that Satan is bluffing because you know it, and it is not a faith that you now come and be helping God to sort out this. Okay, this is how we corner Satan. No, it's the kind of faith that you say, please, there are better things to worry about than this. Do you understand? So even when some types of symptoms come and say, ah, well, I'm not here again. Like I've left this. Do you understand? I'm on to better things, and I've not had. If you're not in my shoes, you will not know what it means. But I know what it means because I've not even used drugs. Even if I want to use something, I think it was only once I just used vitamin C. And what was that? Maybe I had maybe cold, or I just felt like just taking it. No, just one time, and that was it. Do you understand? So, like, I just want you to know that you can actually put your faith to work. It's not faith, and then you will not hang it in the corner of your room and say, yes, I have faith. No, this faith can actually be applied in your life, and you can see the result of the faith. Me last year cannot talk like this because I'm always down. What I'm just always down, sick, 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 sick. But I'm not like that again. Another thing about it is that when you begin to like apply this faith continuously, you will see how natural life is actually without these things that you've assumed as problems or you assume as obstacles that cannot make this answer or that cannot make your faith work. You will realize how normal life is, how incredible, in fact, life is without these things that you've placed as obstacles to hinder your faith from working. And then there's also faith that comes with deliverance because God is able to deliver us. He will answer us. Bible says that he is able to set us free, and he can set us free from anything, from sickness, from bondage, from whatever thing that might be holding you down. You can actually apply faith and be delivered from whatever shackle that the enemy has held you onto. And how do you do this thing? Believe, believe, believe. But as much as you want to believe, I want you to know that there is the grace factor. There's the grace of God that helps you to weaken the power of your flesh. Because another thing that serves as an obstacle where to hinder faith and then prevent answers is your flesh. Because your flesh also has power. It just has, I don't know how it is, but like it has power, and then it makes you to place its desires over the desires of your spirit. So even if your spirit wants something, the flesh just has a way of just overshadowing it, and at the end of the day you realize that you are actually yielding more to the flesh than to what your spirit wants. So the grace of God helps us to be able to put this flesh under subjection to the spirit. You can ask God, say, God, please give me the grace in this particular aspect of my life to be able to apply my faith and see its results. Because trust me, you're going to see the results if you want to. And then there is also faith in terms of salvation, because some people can actually say they believe and then they will still go back from that place that they've confessed, and they will still have doubts about being saved or about God even loving them. But when there is faith that comes along with your salvation, you know that there is nothing else that can take you back to where you came from. We are saved because God loves us, or faith confirms this salvation and help us to be able to walk uprightly with God. There's also the faith that comes with revelation, and then the faith that comes with gift, the gift of God that He has given to you to also excel, whether in ministry or even in your career. It doesn't have to be just ministry gifts, to wisdom, knowledge. Those are gifts that God can also give to you to be able to excel. But the faith of God that helps you to be able to put these things to work, and then you can see the results. Don't forget, I said that the flesh is one of the major obstacles that hinders our faith from being answered. And one way that we can hinder this flesh is by praying, asking God for grace. Bible says that we can go to the throne of grace and we can obtain mercy. Ask God for grace, because this grace puts down the works of the flesh and help us to be able to see results when we apply faith to whatever thing that God has given to us, or whenever even God gives us instructions and that we are meant to obey. And another thing I want you to also do, if you want to see your faith working, and then you want to ask for grace and all of that, you can also try prayers and fasting. Try prayers along with fastings. It doesn't have to be marathon fasting. It can just be a fruit fast. It can just be a kind of fast that just makes you closer to God, because fasting and prayer actually makes you to be closer to God in a way, because you've removed yourself from things that are sin. And then your focus, because when you're praying and fasting, your focus is mostly on God. So when you do these things, you remove the shield that the enemy might be trying to put on you, and you actually see clearly for yourself that I can put my faith to work, or I can pray for this thing. It helps you to also work more on your faith. So you can try these things out, and if there's something that you're waiting for, and you've tried this thing that I've said, please just leave it in the comment section. I would love to hear your testimonies, because trust me, there are so many testimonies when you apply faith. And I want you to be the kind of believer that applies faith always. Because when you are always moved by what you see, how do you want to trust God? Like, how do you want to trust God? You're already behaving like an ordinary man. And we are not ordinary men, because what we are, children of God. There is something on our head. That's why we are called children of God. Bible says that we are sitting down with Christ in the heavenly places. How you be in heavenly places and you will still be claiming ordinary man? It doesn't go. It's not flowing. Do you understand? So apply faith and let your life be pleasing to God. You don't have to be like Elijah. You don't have to be called to go and kill anybody like Abraham. It could be as little as Gideon. God, I don't know if I can trust you, but show me how I can trust you. It's as simple as that. That was just the basic summary of Gideon's prayer. So God can work with you according to your level of faith. But pray for the grace that whatever obstacles or whatever limitations you've already placed, or whatever crutches you have invited or you've had in your mind, that is not making you to fully lean on Him or to fully see Him as someone that is capable. Remove those crutches and help me, God. We've come to the end of this video, and I hope this video has blessed you. Please leave a thumbs up, like, share my content. Please share it to people that that they can make use of this video. It will really mean a lot to me, and I'm sure it's going to mean a lot to them. Have a lovely day. Bye.